Racing, it really was my God. Racing was what I strive for, what I live for. If it wasn't on my mind thinking about what was my next step, what was my next ride, it was, you know, what do I want my next uniform to look like? Who's my next sponsor?
Davey Hamilton's father was a race car driver in Boise, Idaho. When Davey was a small boy, the racing bug bit him too.
When I was 2 years old, he started racing cars, and I just kind of followed in his footsteps from that point. You know, I was very attracted to it, something I definitely wanted to pursue.
Like many young drivers, Davey set his sights on the Indianapolis 500 early in life.
That was a goal, knowing that only 33 drivers a year can make that race.
When Davey was a young man, a coworker led him to faith in Christ.
The guy that I worked with, that worked in my dad's company, was a believer and was saved, and we just, you know, you talk all day at work, right? And that's how, you know, I would just listen every day, and it just opened my eyes. I went to church, got saved, and got baptized.
For much of his adult life, though, racing took priority over his faith. Davey found it more and more difficult to commit to both. He also watched several of his friends die on the track, including his best friend, Billy Yukovich. Billy was killed during a sprint car race in 1990.
And that was a trying time, very, very trying time when Billy passed away. I'll never forget how alone I felt, you know, because he was my best buddy. It was a November race, so it was the last race of the season when that happened. And it gave me a couple months to really get my hands around what we're doing, why we're doing this, and the dangers of it.
Billy's death haunted Davey for the next 11 years. On June 9th, 2001, at the Texas 500, Davey's own career came to a skidding halt.
The guy was passing blew an engine that got oil on his own tires. He lost control, and I just happened to be on the outside in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Oh, contact was made.
You know, he just caught the back of my car. It turned me around, and it flung the car upside down.
Backed into the fence very hard, almost gets upside down.
The poles just sheared off the front of the car and left my legs completely exposed to the elements of the racetrack.
Davey's legs were dragged underneath the car for several hundred yards. When he finally came to a stop, the track paramedics treated him and put him on a life flight to a local hospital.
And the helicopter is leaving for Parkland Hospital, and on board is Davey Hamilton.
I heard a phone call being made by one of the nurses saying that it's going to be life flight coming to Parkland Hospital, and it appears to be a double amputee.
For the next several hours, it looked as though Davey would lose both of his legs.
I woke up a week later in Indianapolis, and the first thing I woke up to was my dad. So the first thing I asked was, my legs are gone, right? And he goes, no, you're in Indianapolis, you know, and they're trying to save him, you know, we're all praying. And
his doctors were eventually able to save his legs.
I knew I needed God more than ever before. I knew, you know, I was relying on him like never before. First few months was pretty intense. A lot of intensive cares, a lot of transplant units. You know, they took my lat muscles and bones out of my hips and knees, and 21 surgeries within 2 years' time, and you know, a lot of rehab times. And the doctor is just amazing on what they were able to do with my legs. And
during his lengthy recovery, he had plenty of time to think about his life, his faith, and his future in racing. Davey says he also asked God a lot of questions.
Laying in that hospital and praying like I did, and I ask every day, why? Why me? I mean, you know, I felt like I was living a clean life. I was, you know, my life was in his hands. Totally was a believer, and I just couldn't understand it. What I found out, though, is everything gets answered. It may not get answered right then.
Davey did not want to give up racing, but he also knew it could no longer be his God.
I said, you know what? I'm not finished for this game. I mean, I'm down, I'm out, but I'm not finished. And so that was part of my drive, my determination to get healthy again, was simply getting back in a race car. I didn't want to end my career that way.
After his recovery, God opened a door for Davey to partner with George Del Canto's organization, Kingdom Racing.
He told me that what his passions were and what his vision was with Kingdom Racing, and I told him what my goals were and where I came from, and it just matched.
Davey eventually did get back in a race car and still races today, but now he sees racing as his ministry.
If I wasn't racing on Sunday, I was traveling to the next race or traveling home on Sundays. So it took you away from the church atmosphere, to hearing the word. And what's changed so much from when I started racing to today, and that's one thing that Kingdom Racing's really brought in, is churches at the track now.
Davey says God has answered many of the questions he had about his crash.
Whether it's a speaking engagement to encourage people to do what they love or do their passion, if it's going to a church to speak to people about my story and my the recovery that I came through. No matter what it is, there's so many things that I wouldn't have this story. I wouldn't have the opportunities to reach out and maybe, enlighten that one person or, make somebody a believer. I don't know that I really had the strength or the opportunities or the know-how to do that if I didn't go through what I went through.
Davey says his passion is to share the love of Christ through motorsports.
Wherever we go race, we bring underprivileged children to the event to show them behind the scenes and just give a little bit of that love, could give a little bit of that direction, and sit down and talk to the kids and the parents and show that what prayer does. We've all had tough times in our lives that we were able to overcome through Jesus Christ, and we just want to pass that on.